Yo, I want to chill right now.
You're disrespecting me in a public forum right now. You realize that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want that to be the goal of the podcast, for somebody to let go of their worries in the world and listen to us.
This is my new look, Daddy David. Daddy David.
Born to procreate. Born to procreate. Yeah, that better make it in the intro.
Nah, probably not.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 67 of the Unboxing Life podcast. You are currently listening to the conclusion of our four-part series. Well, the temporary conclusion, I should say, of our current four-part, eventually five-part series on Attack on Titan. David, you guys are losing your minds on the video. Absolutely check us out on YouTube if you're listening on audio and have the opportunity to check out the video, because there's some emotes going on in the chat there. I am Cameron.
No material.
Yep, absolutely. I am Cameron. I am currently in Zoom pondering my identity as a Jaegerist. We'll figure that out as the show goes on.
Ooh.
On my side,
if you have not watched season
spoilers
4,
ahead for season
Attack
4.
on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Get the fuck out of here. Come back.
Yeah.
Back when you watched it.
Yep. If you clicked on season 4 breakdown and you're mad at me for bringing the word Jaegerist out, then I don't know what to tell you. So, that being said, with me today, I have a proposal of marriage to one Levi Ackerman on my side. Trevor, what's going on over there? You got something to say to your mans?
Levi, will you marry me? You are the sexiest man on the fucking planet, brother.
Dang.
You can kick me all night long.
Trevor
Damn.
stole Cameron's tradition. He's the fact of the week, man.
Amazing. And that voice right there is my man who has a hot take that the country Marley is not nearly as cool as Bob Marley. Which, is that a hot take? Might just be fact number 2 of
Very
the episode.
true.
Might just be my tradition getting cucked yet again. How you doing, David?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to talk about this one. It's interesting, and I'm excited to freaking finish the show when it comes out.
Absolutely. And last but certainly not least, we got a proclamation of war, of violence, death to the Eldians, or the Marlians, or whoever the fuck. What's all that about, Alex?
Can I just say
I'll
that
tell you what it's about.
the name Marley is such a lame ass fucking name for a country, and Marlians? Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Fuck out of
Well,
here with that.
Yeah.
It highlights I'm still a little confused on who the frick is who. There's one group that I could say frick off to, but I'm not sure who that is at this moment. So I'll just frick everybody.
That sums up the season pretty well.
We gonna
Attack
break
on
it
Titan,
down.
the Confusion season.
Yeah, there is a whole load of, betrayals, triple agents, all this stuff of who's working for who's the enemy, all that good stuff, which we will get to promptly after traditions. So,
Oh yeah.
starting us off on the right foot, the music for this for the show, but this season as well, especially a lot of the action sequences, a lot of those tense moments are, denoted by some insane sound engineering. So, what's good with the track of the episode, David?
You're so right about that. My track of the episode is "Ashes on the Fire," I believe it's called, from the original soundtrack. And I will say, the people already know about this one. It has almost 10 million views on YouTube. It's just part of the soundtrack, so it's pretty great. It is, I think it's listed as the Reiner transformation theme. So, but basically whenever stuff is popping off, and I guess Reiner's involved, I think if you listen to it, like any of you guys will recognize, it's super. I was looking for my favorite part of the OST, and it just like jumped out at me. I was like, oh frick, yeah, this is the one. It's very epic, very epic. I hate to use that word sometimes, but it really is.
I ran into the ground in 2008, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I cringed. There was at one point in my notes where I wrote epic, and I cringed at myself, but I was like, I don't have a better word, honestly. It's just how it is. So
It has its uses. Yeah.
yes, great selection as always. Love to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
With that being said, let's go to Alex for our joke of the episode.
All right. This joke is gonna come from the Reddit user Cupcake_octopus.
Nice.
He makes a good point, or They make a good point. They make a good point. They say you can never run through a campground. You can only ran because it's past tense.
Wow. Grammar is fun.
Grammar is fun. Yo, shout out to anyone who caught that in episode 66.
True.
That's pretty great.
True.
That's
Factual.
a great one. I like that. That's clever.
All
Shout
right.
out to Cupcake Octopus. Yeah.
Trevor, would you like to go last or next?
I'd probably lead in a little more than you, unless
Probably.
yours is like
I don't. No, it's
Okay.
tangentially
Yeah,
related, but not fully. Okay. All right. So my fact of the episode then is what we're gonna go to next, and it's about war, naturally. On Christmas Day in 1914, an informal truce was held between German and UK soldiers of World War I along different sections of the trenches. Soldiers emerged from their trenches and exchanged food and souvenirs as gifts, decorated shelters, and even played soccer against each other in the no man's land. This event is now known as the Christmas Truce. So I don't know if y'all have heard
Yeah.
about that before, but it's a really crazy event in World War I history, and they actually had superior officers and stuff, but like World War I was all conscription, so it's just like 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds from like either country who they have no business wanting to like murder people, and so they met in no man's land and exchanged gifts and played soccer, and they're just like, this is just another guy. This is just like a person that I'm told I should hate and kill. And it kind of,
Welcome to
reconnected them with their humanity. Yeah, exactly. It's like it reconnected them with the humanity, and a lot of people like had trouble going back to the fighting or like refused to do so in certain places. So it's really interesting if you want to
Yeah.
look into that. Yeah.
It's a great reminder of empathy and, remembering, that, the wars are for the governments, basically,
Yeah.
Everyday people are not, too psyched and, it's not for their benefit. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
your fellow human beings.
I was reminded of that, and I looked it up to make sure I get the dates and everything right. But I had known about that previously, and I was reminded of it because there are a lot of instances in this season where opposing sides come together or like discover each other's motives and what side they're really working for, but they have that moment of humanity of like, why would I want to kill you? You're just indoctrinated. You're just like basically a pawn of your army. You're not actually like, I shouldn't hate you for any real reason just because we're on opposing sides. So
Yeah. Very true. Yeah.
so yeah,
Dang. Nice one.
there you go. We'll definitely circle back to that sentiment as it happens multiple times. But before that, Trevor, carry us in.
Oh, well, I have a really depressing quote for you guys.
Nice.
Of Mr. Aaron talking to his brother, and he goes, "There's no greater salvation than never being born in this world," which is pretty fucked up when you think about it, my man.
That's
Yep.
heavy. That is heavy.
That ends up being the moral of
Especially
the.
considering the solution that they're trying to go for is
Uh-huh.
exactly that, which is euthanization and never being born in the world to terrorize and endless cycles of death and war and all that good shit. They're trying to end that with their own end of the people. So it's pretty substantial quote. that I thought.
Oh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a heavy one. Oof.
Alright.
Dang. Yeah.
With that, we want to get into the season,
Yep.
Heavy ass
The thoughts
season,
on
man.
the opening.
It's
The opening.
absolutely.
the war zone. Kind of
My
reminded me
war.
of Battlefield a little bit.
I
I don't know why.
Very interested to hear what everybody thought about this opening.
Alex, you should definitely dig up and find and send to now Trevor, and you might have sent it to David already, but the Avengers Endgame version of this
yeah.
thing, because it's like all the bombs going off.
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
it's when it's a scene from
The only
Endgame.
Avengers Endgame meme that I want is the one where they're jumping out of the pool backwards, and they just like it's like a. It's like
I know what you're talking
9,
about.
Like white guys just like.
Yeah, in their
Stand
like
tall
in their
with
discount costumes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Fire.
Yeah.
It's so fire.
They're good. They're
Dang, I
good.
haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I have not seen that.
So yes,
Yeah,
the
I'm
opening though.
I'm a big fan. At first I was a little underwhelmed, but grew on me. I think it stands up with the others. It's not like my favorite one. Like I don't think it's as good as Sasageo or the first one.
Sasageo. What do you mean by Sasageo?
The season 2 opening.
Dude,
Yeah.
I was
Trevor was
sitting here
speaking as
thinking y'all
well.
were talking about the fucking actual like opening episode. I'm like,
Oh.
you know you watched it multiple times.
I did
was
actually.
totally lost. Yeah, no, okay,
We watched
I know
the
what you mean.
the first
Yeah, I
episode
was like,
multiple times.
what?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
Yes, Trevor. Welcome
That's
to
how
Anime Box.
that's-
We talk about the opening of the show first. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah,
It's a cool song. It's got a real haunting, like,
Yes.
what would you call that?
Mm-hmm.
A choir, I guess. Not a synth,
Yeah.
but the drums
Mm-hmm.
are pretty crazy on here. I like the percussion.
hmm
The
Yeah.
actual like colorization of they did this a couple times. I think the last OP, it was either the last OP or it was the first on season 3, where
Mm.
they had like a rainbow colored
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
water
think
painting
that's
effect on there.
I want to say that's
I think
the
that's the-
back half of season 3.
Either
Oh,
one.
yeah.
They kind of play with it even more, where it's like a black and white backdrop with like colored smoke and all that. It's
Yes.
pretty cool. It's a piece
Explosions.
for the eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the visuals. It pops out a lot, and they have like like imagery of like the inside of a body and like a spine and like blood interspersed with the explosions. Because kind of like tying Titans in with like being weapons of war and that kind of thing,
hmm
which is cool. I feel like it fits the season really well. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It-
Absolutely.
It's weird because it doesn't really showcase the main characters like
Yeah.
the other OPs normally do. I think this is like the
Like-
first time they stepped away from that formula.
Like most
Yeah.
anime OPs do. Like almost all anime OPs do. It's all about the protagonists. It's all about the villains. They square up against each other, that kind of thing. And especially, in Attack on Titan, we've been talking about the fact that like it almost spoils like certain fights, especially with I think
Not
last
almost
episode.
does.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So it like guarantees you that they're gonna happen or whatever. And so in this one, yeah, it's just about the movement of war. I think it's like a literal take on the phrase "art of war," where it's like it's just showing explosions and destruction as like beautiful colors, which is interesting to me with that black and white background. And but yeah, it's just a lot of war imagery. It takes you into the whole idea of this is the world now. We're not just Titans versus Titans or swingy Spider-Man boys versus Titans. It's
Wingy Spider-Man.
it's it's
Spider-Man.
real war. We're in like but probably the equivalent of like the late 1930s, maybe 1940s, when they start really developing cannon technology and stuff like that, or not cannon technology, but like anti-tank, that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
Their naval forces are fairly advanced from what I saw.
Yeah.
So it might be a little
yeah,
better, but
coming with machine guns and
yeah,
you said like trains
Yeah.
and stuff.
MGS
I think-
and all that good shit.
I will say for me, this opening, when I first heard it, watching through the season, I was extremely underwhelmed compared to other seasons. It's definitely a grower.
hmm
I've witnessed wars in YouTube comments of people saying that it's better than Sasageo, people saying that it's not better than. Which who's ever saying better than Sasageo, y'all are tripping. But
Yeah.
Sasageo being
It's got
the
its
very
place.
first OP.
No,
No.
the season 2 one.
season 2 and
the
I'd have to go back.
the videos I
Yeah,
kept
yeah.
seeing that I desperately wanted to share was of people like dancing and doing stuff like jamming out to the OP, and it's like me getting ready to watch another episode of like race wars and extreme violence, and you're just like bopping.
Yeah, me and the boys doing war crimes at 3 a.m. was
Yeah.
one. something
Yep.
like that.
Yeah.
It's just insane,
Doing war
insanely,
crimes.
insanely dark. Yeah.
Yep.
They
So
don't let you just do it the way you do it, so you just gotta do it in front of the war face. Like,
we're
Yeah.
not doing that.
yeah, so definitely
Not doing
you
that.
said do it. You said it.
I agree. I agree. It's a grower. I think it was one of my. I mean, I skipped over some of the season 3 ones and don't even think about them. So, but it's I think it's right below. I think it's Sasageo and then the original OP and then this one right underneath that for me. Because it definitely grew on me a lot.
I
And
can
just,
go with that.
I just kind of
Yeah.
bop. It's the first and only season of Attack on Titan I watch week to week, and usually when I watch week to week as opposed to binging it, I like will actually watch the OP, and so I expose myself to it a lot, and it actually grew on me in that respect. So
Right.
I like it a lot now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, good tone setter going into the season, which we're going in now. Pretty. I mean, the fact that it starts, on the other side of the sea, it's like kind of
Yeah, it just
unexpected.
drops you in, man. It is like, I mean, they then use like kind of half-assed the way they do it, where like the kid has a concussion, so he's like, okay, Gabby's like, I'll explain to you from the beginning for the last 4 years. It's like, okay,
Like,
that's
where's the mic at?
you could have been a little more creative about it. Yeah, exactly. Like, where's President Mike?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Gabby's character is nails on a chalkboard for me.
I
a lot of
cannot-
people will fully agree with
Everybody
you.
agrees. I
Yeah.
want to put my fist through her face.
That's
brother.
facts.
Yep.
That's facts.
I can see that.
I
It is
do not like her character in the slightest bit. She didn't get redeemed at fucking all for me, man.
Nope, she
Painful.
never does.
I can
yeah.
see
Sort
that.
of at the end,
We'll see.
sorta.
I
but
got
not even.
I get semi-spoiled on this season with like everyone hates Gabby, you know why, wink wink, and like there's like a star in the corner that says Sasha, and it's like, okay, thanks, like great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Right.
fucked up.
Fucking
As a
sick.
spoiler.
So
Yeah,
I
I didn't
basically
even-
I basically got spoiled on like
Yeah.
I don't maybe it wasn't that literal, but it was like, okay, she like one of our main guys are gonna die, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
I'm definitely jumping the gun on
Yeah,
that.
we'll
But
get to it. I will
um,
say, first watching these first few episodes, I was like extremely confused because
mad
I had to revisit. Or
Yeah.
watch like synopsises of
Mhm.
season 3 to realize, because season 3 at that point was 2019, so I had to really refresh my memory. Coming off of season 3,
Yeah.
at the end they dropped a bunch of lore, heavy lore,
yeah.
and so it really gets into it, and it like we said, it drops you right in, and I'm like, holy frick me, what is going on?
Yeah, that's a great point, because that's kind of been a constant thing with me. Like my second watch, I was able to understand it way better, and I like this season better the second time because of that. And
Mhm.
it's bold to drop you in like that, and I can respect it. But you
Mhm.
gotta. There's a lot to remember, like you're saying. Like I will say something I forgot that I caught on the second time in the first episode. That's maybe the most interesting moment early on is what's his name, the kid who's like a decent guy,
Falco.
Go.
Falco,
Falco?
yeah.
That
He
ain't
gets-
Falco.
That ain't Falco. He gets knocked out, and then he's like, "Oh, what happened? I thought I had a dream where swinging around with sword stuff."
Yeah.
And so that is a weird thing that is not yet
Very
explained.
weird.
Of, like some clue that they're connected some way, because
The closest
weird.
the closest they come to explaining it is the conversation between the former Beast Titan and young Zeke, where he talks about, through King Fritz, through the founding Titan, we are all connected. But it's also like how does unconsciousness trigger that sort of thing? But it's a direct callback to season 1, the very first episode, where one of the first scenes we get, I think maybe the first scene we get, is Eren asleep under a tree having a nightmare about what's about to happen to him, where he has this nightmare. He sees the scene of his mom getting eaten by the Titan, and so it's like he's seeing the future, but maybe it's some other sort of like premonition type thing that's not like, it's not the literal future, but it's like because he's maybe connected so tangentially to the Titans that are about to kick down the wall. It's like this sort of like prediction or something like that. But it was super weird. It's a super subtle moment. It definitely, like, you can definitely miss it if you turn away for 5 seconds. Where he's like, wasn't I just flying around fighting Titans with swords, even though he has no knowledge of anything going on with Paradise Island. And so it's like, that shouldn't be something he has any business saying, but he says it like on the head. So it's super cool, super interesting. I hope they dive into it. I don't think there's been anything that they've teased at like that they haven't ended up finally explaining, like we get a lot of in this season. So hopefully we get there in the back half.
They answer a lot of questions and then just set up more, and just like,
Yes, sir.
For sure. I will say, we get like the first action sequence in the first episode, and going into the season, I'd seen people. I guess I thought they were hyping up the animation, and I'm used to the other seasons where it had incredible animation. So when the Titans drop in and they're CG, and every Titan this season is CGI, I really didn't like this season the first time I watched it, because I couldn't get into any of the action at all, and it was a gigantic disappointment. And I think it's easily the worst animation of this show has ever seen, and like by so many miles. But my second time, it's still choreographed and directed well. so it's actually not as bad as I thought. But to me, it's like I can't expect good animation going into this, which is kind of sad. And I hope they have more time to work on it for the second half.
Yeah. Choppy was
Yeah,
the
I
word
feel
that
like
I
we're
used.
in a really weird like transitional phase when it comes to the technology that they use to like animate, the 3D aspect of it and not just hand draw everything. So
Yeah,
like these like next 5 to 10 years might be a little weird, but
It also switched studios. So
yeah,
Yeah,
It's
it's Mappa,
Mappa,
which
it
is
was yeah.
which they've been going ham, right?
which
But-
Yeah,
Jujutsu Kaisen had some of the most gorgeous action animation that I've seen in a while. So it's like
Yeah, so if they can do the second half of the season like Jujutsu Kaisen, then we're in for a treat.
it's a wrap.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
definitely wasn't as turned off by the animation. There were some points where I noticed it was a little wonky, and then there were some points where I really was like, "This looks cool." Mainly when Eren is fighting, in particular. But
Yep.
I like the way that looks. But there's some parts, like you said, that is kind of
Yeah.
rough. But other than that, it didn't stand out to me as much.
Yeah, I know a lot of people say that, and so that's good because I think my second time watching was a lot better because I didn't expect good animation, so I didn't have anything to go with. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
I think I remember suggesting something about it before we started watching this season, and you were like, "Whoa, Cameron, pump the brakes," because you didn't want me to like pipe up Trevor's expectations of the animation just to have him have the same experience that you did. I think is what happened.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
I'm not
but
too
yeah,
much of a stickler when it comes to animation.
Same.
like
I was
David
gonna
is,
say.
so
That's
yeah.
like
It was a short hurdle for me to get over. Basically, it was like choppy, and I was like a little annoyed. And I think it stands out more in the first few episodes than it does later on, especially with a lot of the just standard character animation. They have their bodies move around a lot when they're talking, as opposed to just being like standing still with the mouth opening and closing.
that
And
their
so-
the way their frames, they kind of drop whenever the characters move. It's like it's almost like a performance issue.
Yeah,
where
it feels
wasn't
like it's
rendered
dropping
correctly.
frames. Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
but it's
I
just
think
they just didn't draw enough frames basically, and so they animated it like almost too fast, so it looks choppy.
yeah,
But
it's
I
a
don't know.
little weird.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the first half is like where all the action occurs anyway. Like,
Yep.
The second half is nothing but politics and betrayals
Mhm.
and like just human interaction.
Games,
So
just
that
all the freaking games, war
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
probably might feel a little weird in the first half, and it kind of drops off after.
Yeah,
You're not actually seeing any.
But
action.
yeah, speaking of war crimes, Titan air bombardment is pretty fucked.
yeah. That's pretty
dropping
insane.
Holy
dropping
bro.
tens of Titans out of the thing and making them expand midair, and then they're like, because of the height, half died on impact. They're literally just like, they're just tools of war.
Yeah.
They're not people. They're
Yeah.
just like, in the eyes of them, it's just like, these are like, they're like war dogs, but like even less, and they're just like, it's so messed up.
You know what? This is one of the parts that comes to mind for me where their CGI did stand out in a negative sort of way because it kind of looked weird, but it wasn't overshadowing my absolute mind, but being blown by the fact that they're just dropping straight people out of it, as you say, transforming them into Titans, and it's just like, this is ruthless. Like, these are literally people who I would assume I think they might have said it like they are prisoners or people who've done something wrong, crime or whatever, and then they're just using them to like
Yep.
turn
It's just
into
fire.
Titans.
Yeah, and they look like senile before they like eject them from the plane. Like they're in like the straitjackets or whatever, and they just like bombard them out of the plane. It's like they're sedated or brain dead or something. So it's particularly terrifying. I mean, we get that throughout the entire season, is how fucked Marley is as a country, just expanding its territory using what they've quote unquote conquered as the power of the Titans for their own gain.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy sequence.
Well, we come to realize that they are a little far behind in the times when it comes to weaponry, and they basically get cut the frick down. The only thing that stops them is the Beast Titan just hurling that shit.
The shells at the freaking fleet. It's nutty.
Yeah.
The Beast Titan always looks so fucking weird to me because it's so top heavy, and it's got like chicken legs for feet and legs and all
the
that.
lanky ass arms. That's the length of its entire body. Yeah, but it excels at throwing. Yeah, and that was the whole joke, is like they play catch and they're both the Beast Titan. Haha.
Yeah, I remember.
like if I'm being honest, it's the lamest fucking ability I think I've ever heard of, but it works for the show.
Yeah,
But having
yeah.
someone specialize in throwing boulders is
It's like
it sounds
yeah.
lame, but then you get scenes like him pelting the entire navy of the
and like I
country
said,
with artillery shells from the top of the mountain, and the scene of like that we talked about was your favorite arc of him decking the houses as they stand like helpless about to lead the suicide charge. So back in season 3.
For sure.
So
yeah, they do something with it, and they say like the previous guys, like the Beast Titan isn't even good for combat, so I'm just doing research, and then you see that like Zeke made him good for combat by
Yeah.
having a good arm, basically, and
yeah,
figuring that out. But it's wild. It's wild.
very well.
Yeah, but we go right into like a lot of setup of, like you said, Gabby and like the kids, and just like, oh, these are people too, kind of thing, and
yeah, just on the other side of the wall
yeah,
Yep.
or other side of the sea, I should say.
Yeah, it's the show does it makes a big point and does a phenomenal job of humanizing the enemy, as it were. Is like, because they want to show that it's the same on both sides. Is like, these are just people living their lives, and that's what Eren says to Reiner. Even is like, I'm just doing what you did. I just don't have a choice. Like, neither of us had a choice. We're just fighting the fight that we were born into, and so I'm gonna do the same thing you did, and then fuck up your entire city.
yeah.
That's yet again jumping ahead.
Yeah, but that is one thing that I kind of wanted to bring up is the whole time skip thing. I'm always kind of iffy with time skips. How do you guys feel about it?
They jump a lot in this.
Yeah.
Jump a lot,
Well,
and it's all over the place.
yeah.
but-
I'm saying like just like from a perspective of last season to now, it's like 4 years or something, and
Mhm.
everything's like it always kind of makes me wonder like what could they have done if it wasn't a time skip, but like how well it works into the dynamic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It in my
It
perspective,
gives them enough time to mature, and they
Yep.
they all look completely different from their season
Yep.
3 counterparts. They're all
Yeah.
mature. They're all like 19 now.
20,
Mhm.
They're
19,
all
20,
like
yeah.
super hardened from the war and all that good shit. You can see like Aaron with the longer hair and Armin
yeah.
with the somewhat shorter hair, and
Oh yeah,
all the
Mikasa with the short hair.
yeah, Levi, same thing. Everyone has like the typical shorter hair, like modern style look to them, with the black suits. Like they changed up their
Yeah.
ODM
look
gear.
and all that.
Yeah.
The ODM
I'm
gear
with
looks
you.
sick now. It looks. I mean, not that it didn't before, but like those uniforms are clean.
Yeah, no, the black uniforms are fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, Alex. It can be iffy for me because sometimes it's like I'm on this journey with the characters, and then I feel like I've missed out on so much. It can like take you. It can get like put some distance between you and them. Like, oh, okay. But I think in this show it's kind of necessary because they find out that the world exists, and then they got to develop technology, and everyone's got to grow up, and
Yeah.
Aaron is like got to be nihilistic, freaking jaded, fricko now. So, like,
Jaded
he
is
has
such a weak word, honestly. Like usually jaded is like jaded was a
Yeah.
perfect word for him for a while, but now he's just like he's so angry.
Goes
Yeah.
on this, that goes on this.
Yeah. So
Am I
think-
the only one that hates the way time skip Mikasa looks?
What? No.
Nah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
looks. I don't like the look at all, bro. The new look for Mikasa.
Don't do that to me. She is
Nope.
mad sexy.
Nope.
That's
Not
the
at all.
baddest
think
bitch
she
on the
looks
planet
better.
right there.
Yeah, hating on the short hair, man. I like
Yeah,
it.
don't be doing that, especially to
Mm-mm.
David.
Yeah, that's a
Well-
punishable offense.
I think Armin looks fantastic too.
I look,
Yeah,
Armin Ultra
That little
strong,
hair,
man.
and oh my god.
Armin Ultra Strong.
but yeah,
Finally got it.
I think in terms of time skipping, they do it really well because it's exactly like you said. It gives them time to grow and mature. But it was when I was watching it week by week, I was texting friends that were also doing the same, and talking about like as soon as that's Aaron, and then you have a whole week to wait before he actually does anything. And that I think it was like episode 3 I watched, episode 3 of this season I watched, and then I was like, okay, next episode shit's gonna pop off, and the next episode is just like all of the setup, and then it pops off, and then it's credits, and I was like, fuck. And so it's like, and so I mean, week in, week out, it was like, what's gonna happen? But what I was talking about with friends was like, he's in the country, he's doing all this stuff. It's been 4 years. That's an insanely long amount of time to develop your Titan powers. Like they got Armin with the Colossal and him with the attack, and like, technically has the founding as well. Like that's a long time to sort of figure out your Titan combat, figure out like regenerative abilities, like all this stuff, which it shows very immediately is like he's even able to control. I didn't think it was Eren initially because of the fact that he had those injuries, and I was like, oh well, he would just heal because he's a Titan. That can't be Eren. And then, but apparently he can even control like whether or not he does heal at this point, like all this stuff. So he's just like an expert Titan controller at this point. And so you get that in those fights, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it is a cool aspect. Yeah.
So, and then just with the time skips, they don't leave out too much because we get all those flashbacks of them developing the island and gaining allies and like all that stuff. So it's interesting. It's an interesting narrative choice, and I think they pull it off really well to, skip all that time and then go back in pieces.
Yeah, I think another thing about this season, I think there's a lot of really cool like editing and directing choices that I was picking up on, like in the early episodes when there's like that complete jerk of a soldier messing with the people with PTSD, right? Like people like in that line at the mental hospital. He makes the sound of like a bomb, but as he's making this like comical sounds, it shows real war, like the stuff that he like probably doesn't know anything about, and like the horror of it. But juxtaposed with that comical sound, it's like it has a big impact because it's like there's this dude like just like messing with people who have gone through hell, and like they do a lot of things like that that really like up the impact of stuff, I feel like, and I really appreciate it. It's like distinctive directing choices that I really like.
Absolutely.
And,
I'll remark on that when we get to what I just referenced with Eren finally popping out, because that's an insanely well directed moment.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This pretty much just 4 episodes. They give Reiner more character and stuff, and they let you know how the society is and Zeke and all that stuff. They fully reveal that Zeke is, Eren's
Grisha's
brother.
Yep. First son.
Yeah, they kind of say that before, like if you pick up on it, but they fully reveal it now. Yeah.
I wanted your guys' knee jerk to when they're all sitting down at dinner and his family is like asking Reiner about like his time overseas and like all that stuff, and it's like, don't ask him about that. It was hell. And the story he chooses to show that the island is full of terrible devils is the Potato Girl story.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, like he tells it with the most disturbed look on his face, where he's like, and then she broke it in half, but the piece she offered him was not even close to half. Being considerate doesn't even cross their minds. And it's like, bro, you could have told like any list of shit, and you brought they look like, I can't tell if it's horrified or like stunned at like how weird the story was, or if they're actually upset by it, and it was like if that story actually killed like in their room. It's like it was such a weird choice for me, and I don't know how to feel about it at all.
I feel like it's almost a comedic way of showing how like propaganda about a group of people is always just insane. Like this potato means they're all evil, an evil race of people who live on this island. Kind of like a comedic way to send that message. Like it's just insane. But then like his family believes it. I think they believe it because they've been so propagandized and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The word propaganda, and the word I used a lot when I was, thinking about it, is indoctrination. Just like the degree to which they've been made to believe a certain non-truth, basically. Their version of history. What's that called? Revisionist history. So it's super interesting psychologically for everyone involved. But yeah, like you said, you get that Reiner backstory.
Stuff basically.
There's a fun little callback in their backstory where you see Bertholdt's sleeping positions that they referenced in like episode 10 of season 2, where they just like I love all those little links. But
they do a lot, and then stuff pops off basically.
Stuff definitely pops off. Nutty. Falco accidentally is a key component in the Eren Yeager's plans.
Yeah, that's the scene with Aaron and Reiner is pretty nutty. in
It's
the freaking
so
basement.
good.
Probably
It's
my
really
favorite
good.
part of the season, honestly.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like that interaction, especially considering how calm Aaron is and
Mhm.
how much Reiner is just shitting his pants. And at the like 5
Yeah.
minutes into it, he like basically gets down on his knees and begs him to kill him. Like,
Yeah.
just let me go of this hell. Like, I'm done. I'm
Yep.
so done. He was even like he had a gun in his mouth, like earlier on in
The
the
episode
season.
before,
He's
yeah.
just so done with living.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
about to pull the trigger, and then Falco like bangs on the wall, not knowing he's on the other side. It's like Falco was standing right there. Like 2 seconds later, he was gonna just be covered in Reiner guts. It's like
That is true.
very, very
Yeah.
insane timing in a lot of these scenes. But yeah, he
Yeah, I still can't figure out what homie was playing at, the dude with the really long light hair. Like he was giving a speech and all that. But like
Oh, the
Oh.
Tabor guy. Yeah,
I-
don't know.
yeah, I'm like, what is this dude's motive? What is going on?
Yeah.
I also couldn't figure it out on first watch, but on second it made more sense. David, did you want to take that or?
Yeah, I'm with you. On second, it makes a little more sense, I guess. It's like, well, I don't know. You go for it, honestly. I think I know, but
Yeah,
it's a bit much.
I believe it was basically his way because they gather like the world governments, right? Like Marley has been doing all this colonialism bullshit and like just taking. I mean, as we see later, it backfires on them because they're like conscripting soldiers from other nations and like building their army like that and all that stuff. And so they've been conquering all this land, but there's also still the rest of the entire world that has their own militaries and all that stuff. And Marley feels like since, they took one shot at it and lost, 3 Titans, the females kidnapped, Colossal's eaten, and Armored comes back, and Jaw was fucked, but, like, kind of recovered. So basically they lose 2 Titans. So, like, their shot at doing it themselves was completely garbage in the long term. And so Willie Tybur, who he explains that, like, his family years and years ago, like 100 years ago, because he tells that he has that whole theater production about like, this is the story that you've been fed the entire time. Mm-hmm. The truth is we invented this hero as the slayer of the devil of all earth and made it so that it seemed like Marley's the great guys and Marley is pursuing peace and the devils of the island are the worst thing ever. Really what it is, we set all this up to make it look like that, and King Fritz just wanted peace. But now, Eren Yeager has disrupted that peace by stealing the Founding Titan. So now, we need the world's help to go fuck up Parody. That's like the entire point of his whole song and dance is trying to convince the governments of the world to lend their military support in this huge alliance to go fuck them up.
I'm once again asking for your financial support.
Yeah, I believe that's the long and the long of it is he really wants the support of all the world governments to go crush Parody, and that's like the best way he figured to do it was to like come clean, as it were. And then after that, at the episode immediately after that, he realizes it's a suicide mission, basically, that performance is probably going to get him killed, and they think that it's going to be what I said earlier, which is the armies or soldiers from other armies and Eldians and everything that have organized against them and is going to take them out because they're the most powerful Eldian family by far and very important to the government, and they wield the Warhammer Titan, which is supposedly one of the strongest Titans. And so it was like, this is a suicide mission, but we're going to get the world government support. We're going to do what we need to do. And he was not expecting my boy Eren. He says that's the cinematic timing, the insane direction I was talking about, where it flashes back and forth from that basement room to the stage. And he says, I extend to the enemy forces of Parody a declaration of war. And like as he like reaches for the sky, it's just the lightning comes down and the building explodes and Eren like roars out from behind the stage. And it's such insane timing and beautifully directed and cinematically just gorgeous.
It is. It really is.
So yeah, David, did I cover what you were gonna say, or do you have anything to add or subtract? Maybe I'm way off.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely covered all of it. I think. Yeah. I think it's just like, it's a clear example that well, they give you a lot of examples. Marley is a fascist government because obviously they have this race of people who they use and oppress, but they I think his goal is to give everyone an enemy so that Marley can retain power, because when you have a little guy to stomp out, the big guy like keeps getting boosted by the people. They believe in it if they see like an enemy over there. Like the whole thing is like, because he's not even, he's an Eldian and he's not a racist. He's like, there's no truth to them being devils. He just wants Marley to survive. So it's like, I'm gonna go point at those people over there and tell you to go kill them and go get them, so that you don't realize the problems back home, and that so the government and everyone can retain power, basically.
That point definitely makes a lot of sense, considering he changes the enemy from the devils of the island to this one guy, Eren Yeager. He's like, Eren Yeager is our enemy. He needs to be stopped. So that's a really good point, David. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it leads up to one of my, probably the highlight for me in terms of where it's at of the series. This whole fight is just nasty.
Oh yeah,
Dang.
it's fire.
You said for the series or this season?
For the season.
Oh yeah, okay.
Considering it is the main fight of the season.
Yeah, for sure.
The one and only fight, basically.
Yeah.
Which is like the biggest
And it
negative
lasted. It's got some
It definitely lasted. It
longevity.
it had like a 2-3 episode little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
See,
nasty.
The new and improved scout regiment, they're all nice and aged, and you get to see Mr. Levi back
So
in
got-
action like a motherfucker.
Yeah, you got the old cloak on. Yeah, just
Yeah.
going ham.
The Warhammer Titan
And
is
then-
is flexing all the abilities and stuff, and like basically puts Eren on the ropes, and you get that moment where she says, "Any last words, Eren Yeager?" and he goes, "Mikasa, now or never." And she just shows up and like starts kicking ass, and then the entire rest of the scout regiment comes in. And like you said, when Levi comes in is when Eren's about to get decked again by the Jaw Titan, and out of left field you got Levi slicing his jaws. Levi slicing jaws to save Eren's ass since season 1.
Yeah, and Galliard is like, what the frick? We're Titans, but they're attacking us. It's like,
It's a great moment.
That's what they do,
they're
bro.
ruthless.
Like,
No, yeah, they're
It's a
coming
great
to kill
freaking
you.
moment.
They've been doing this for 5 years.
Exactly.
yeah, and they freaking, it's a cool moment when they show up too, because you just see the shadow of someone with ODM gear coming. It's like,
The second you hear the whiz of the ODM gear, you're like, I
Yep.
just started cheesing. I was like, I know exactly
Yeah.
who's gonna turn that corner, and I'm gonna be
yeah,
hyped.
It's so good,
Exactly.
man. Yeah,
I
the
just
whole
think
gang.
it's so satisfying to me when fights happen in a way where it still keeps you on edge, like it makes you think anything could happen, but in the end, the bad guys get their ass beat.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
just
kind
like-
of thoroughly surprised that they didn't really retain too many casualties.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
Right.
kind of, I mean, it didn't go according to plan because Eren was a jackass and kind of did it by himself. But for them
Yeah.
to like coordinate that quickly and make it out basically unscathed is pretty impressive.
Yeah, Eren has definitely taken full agency of the situation. He's just like, I'm gonna do exactly what I want to do, and I think I'm
Right.
exactly right, and fucking stop me if you can.
Yeah.
and,
Levi's
and
just like,
basically
dickhead.
abuses his former comrades to achieve his own goals, like because they're not gonna necessarily agree with his end goal at all.
Yeah,
But basically uses them as he knows he'll be saved. So it's
Yeah. but it's,
Then he,
Eren's sociopathy basically.
yeah, just the highlight part of the whole fight for me is like, Homegirl is like frozen, and then
And then he
uses
just
the,
fucking.
the jaws to.
Oh my god!
Wish-
Yeah,
oh.
dude, he was ripping his limbs off first.
It
and
is
then he just, like,
absurd.
Yeah.
puts
It is
in the mouth and
absurd.
just, like,
yeah,
Because
and
it's
it
like,
just- it slowly cracks and
Ugh.
it builds the anticipation. It's like because this is a horrific scene.
yeah,
And then he drinks the blood.
yeah, man.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
he's like he finally
Fucked
gets the
up
upper
man.
hand, like shredding his limbs off like that, like literally pulling him apart. And then just the music is building and it's cutting in and out and showing like Galliard's face inside his Titan, and he's like begging. He's like, "Please stop, no!" Like he's begging for fucking mercy, and he's just like being made to murder a fellow Titan as like just by force. It's got to be it's bone chilling, honestly, of the way that
It's
scene
nutty.
plays out.
Great fucking scene.
it is nutty. There's a lot going on too, because they just got insane action. You're hyped, and then
Yeah.
it'll be like, and then it'll be like 2 out of the 4 kids just die just like immediately, and you're like,
Thank
oh,
God. Like
that's
less people that I have to give a shit about.
Yeah, they just get
Honestly.
freaking
I'm
smoked.
so serious, man.
Yeah, it
Stop
was
throwing
nutty.
characters at me, please.
that was like a shoulder shrug for me, honestly. Yeah, I was like,
I didn't give any shit
Yeah.
at all.
yeah,
I don't even think I realized they died.
Yeah, I remember Homegirl dying. I don't remember the guy. I mean, I guess he gets trampled to death, but it
Yeah.
wasn't that clear until they pointed out like 10 episodes later. Oh, he died by a trampoline. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think
I think it was
will
clear
say
immediately. I don't know.
I don't think we're like meant to love them. Like these
No,
are our new
absolutely
guys.
not.
I think it's just like this is the brutality. Like these were some kids having fun, and because Aaron came in, they got killed, and this
Yeah.
is what he did.
But
And then
just everybody just sitting in the stands.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
really
yeah,
not right.
just
Yeah, and
kill a
that's-
ton of civilians.
That's what
freaking-
Mikasa says to him. Yeah.
One of my favorites is Armin, which when he like you get the freaking Navy pulling up, and then it's just this little rowboat, and he takes the hood off and just wipes out the entire harbor. And
I
it's like,
smiled so hard when that happened. I'm like, dude, my boy,
Destroys the
insane.
entire navy in one shot.
boy nuked.
Just the
Yeah.
colossal nuke, man. Yeah, it's
They do such a good job in this
Yeah.
season of making the colossal just like nuts. So, like they even call it like a god of destruction or war or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And then a baby girl Hanji coming on the airships.
yeah, I know. yeah,
I wasn't sure if they were gonna do the airships. Like, I wasn't sure how they were gonna get out, but
yeah.
kind of spelled
It's
out pretty quickly.
it's so freaking crazy in this sequence with all them fighting, because it like previously we just had Eren and then Colossal and Armored, and now we have and then the Beast Titan as well. But it's like it's the Beast Titan, the Cart Titan, the Jaw Titan, the Warhammer Titan, and then Eren is the Attack and the Founding Titan, and then Reiner's there as the Armored Titan, and he shows up at the very end. It's like we got the whole freaking gang, just like
Definitely.
Annie's in a basement somewhere, but like basically everyone else is popping off.
Right.
So it's
Like
absurd.
Lucio, that this is like the Infinity War. Of
Yeah.
like they were just literally throwing characters.
We're getting a
out,
gang together.
For sure. Every episode, there's like 2 more dudes just coming in and smoking people. Like,
Right.
yeah. And then we get. How do you guys feel about Zeke working with the freaking suckers, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I was like, when I was watching it week to week, there's a gap between when he gets like cut out of the Titan and then blown up, and then you see him on the airship, right? And so I was talking to people. I was like, until I see a body, he's not dead. Like until I see a body,
There's no way.
Zeke is fucking alive. Because there's no way they do that. They make that director's choice to like not show him literally explode into a billion pieces like they have so many characters, and he's not actually dead. Because Levi shows up, slices him out, and then drops a freaking frag on his back, but he actually just extracts him first. But
Yeah.
that was Zeke boy.
You guys. I mean, that plot point is. I'm not sure how I feel about it still, because Zeke is like.
I guess I was confused the whole time because they start like spilling out like he was never really against them. He was trying to save Eren the entire time, and like why did everyone have to die? Like so it almost felt like the last 3 seasons were kind of meaningless in terms of like the war. I don't know. I was really lost.
Yeah, it's a little
Why did everyone
confusing.
have to die?
It's confusing. I feel like either Zeke is lying a little. I feel like he might be lying about some stuff, and that's
I
why
think
it's
he is.
weird.
Well, when they
But he's like, they try to say that he's going there, and he has to use violent means to like get the Founding Titan, right? So he's just gonna kill whoever he has to, and then they beat him at the end of season 3, so he can't do that anymore, and he basically has to come to them to negotiate. So I feel like that with that interpretation, it still makes it meaningful because they
with
stopped his
Yeah.
goal, right? But
and
I hope they're not going with the direction of like he was the good guy or something, or
I
like
really hope not. And that's where
yeah,
I'm
like
confused.
yeah, so
yeah,
So I think important to note in that entire like question basically is the idea that when they launched that operation initially, they like the king still had the Founding Titan. Like the entire operation to go to Parity and fuck people up was to get the Founding Titan from the king. But like literally as that happened, Grisha goes and takes the Founding Titan from the king and then passes it on to Eren consequently. and that's when it has to transition into, okay, now we need to save Eren, as opposed like, because that's what, I don't know, are they in communication with the Beast Titan regularly when Reiner and Berthold are like, hey, I'm the Armored, he's the Colossal, let's go. Do they have any communication with him? I don't think they do. I think that happens after the fact.
I don't think so. They had that whole sequence where they showed him like going to the island for the first time.
Yeah, they show him finding it. So I don't think that's correct, because they show him finding out that Eren has it, and that's like the end of season 2, and he still tries to wipe them out after that. Like, he's still aggressively attacking them after that. So his motives don't really make sense unless he was lying. In a sense, I guess maybe he doesn't. I don't know, because he thinks Eren will be on his side eventually.
I think maybe the turning point is when he realizes, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. I think he kind of like realizes that he's been victimized by Grisha in this. Or he believes that he's been victimized by Grisha in the same way that he was in his childhood. Or Eren has been victimized by Grisha the same way that Zeke was in his childhood, right? It's like he used the words brainwashed.
I think what makes sense as a turning point is he gets his ass beat and he realizes he can't selfishly take the founding Titan for himself.
I'm with
and
David.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
Because he already thinks Eren, like, they're all indoctrinated and that kind of thing while fighting them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just like, I think what makes sense is like, yeah, he has to get defeated and then come like crawling to them basically. But it's like, man, I really, there's a lot in this season that sets up next season where they could really make it unsatisfying if like if you know what I mean, like,
yes, I do,
like Zeke surviving and then Levi not being able to kill him and like having to take care of him. Like, I'm just hoping it results in Levi just beating the frick out of him eventually, but
assuming he's still alive, which he probably is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I never really
That'd
cared
be a very
for
unceremonious
Zeke.
way for Levi
Like,
to go out.
I always thought he was an op
Mhm.
until like, and then they gave him like a whole backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pretty much was. He's the opposition. Like, and then they gave him the whole backstory thing was kind of like, I don't want to say touching, but it was kind of like, dang. But it's still kind of not justifying everything. But
yeah,
it added layers.
It does.
So he's got layers now. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think this season does a good job of adding layers, even if it's like, even if like Zeke is still like, I feel like he is the op still, right? Like, but it's like,
He absolutely is.
But you understand why he wants to, do eugenics
it's
and
like,
freaking everything.
It's
like
like
that.
holy crap, he's Aaron's brother. That's kind of nuts to think about. And then they had that whole thing of him as a child with the dude, and then
yeah.
So why he snitched on him and all that.
Yeah, because he's like, you're gonna go just like them if you don't turn them in yourself. And I'm like, that realization is nuts, especially for a kid.
Yeah,
and then he does it, and then, jeez, man, I felt it, but I also, like I said, don't think it justifies completely his actions, but it's getting somewhere.
Yeah,
he's like a villain who's still a human, I guess. I don't know where they're gonna go fully, but
the way they line it up is like, your parents are definitely getting sent to parody. Like, they're on their trail. They're gonna get found out soon enough if they continue down the way they are. So he's like, either save yourself and your grandparents or die with them. And so that's like, it's the humanizing they do is pretty effective in my opinion.
This might be a dumb question. But when they say they get sent to Paradis, that means they're going to be turned into Titans and just chilling on the island.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they call the island Paradis, but then they also refer to it as like, you get sent to paradise. Like when they talk about like exiling, because they call it a life sentence, right? Like you serve your life sentence as a Titan on Paradis, and so that whole process is getting sent to paradise. So
for sure.
That's how they reference it.
On this, well, I don't know, on the same sequence though, after all this popping off, Sasha dying, of course. I don't know.
Yeah, I will say, like, her getting on the airship was like a super head scratcher to me, because it's like it's attached to the airship, right, and the ODM gear, and then it doesn't move at all for like a good what 2 minutes they talk. Like they're just like back and forth between her and Falco.
Yeah.
And the airship is moving, right? And I hate to be that guy that's like, this is not making any sense, but it doesn't move at all. And she's just chilling there.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. It's
Mhm.
the endless freaking cable. Just like
It's like
the Fast and Furious airport runway.
And then what do you expect to do? You have no Titan powers. Like, what are you gonna fucking do when you get up there? She shot one person. That was
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah,
then she
she's
got
just-
captured.
She's just
She
mad
doesn't
fucking
have
angry.
anywhere that she can inherit a Titan when she gets back
Which
to parody.
I know
thought
she
it was,
has to
like,
be
mad.
alive for the show,
I
but
hope.
how nobody didn't shoot her?
That's what I'm
On
saying.
that
Like, they
thing,
just went
that's
in and just
beyond me.
beat the shit out of her. I'm just like, fucking kill her, man. Just
Yeah.
I hate
Like,
that
she just
character
shot-
so much. She's like the annoying kid that everyone fucking hated, and she has like this weird self-importance ideology about it.
It's not weird. It makes sense. It makes a lot
You
of
all
fucking
are
sense. She walks
devils.
around
You
being
all are
told.
devils. I'm
She
going to
walks.
kill you.
Yes, I understand.
She like does sick things
She is the kid
from
that everyone fucking hates.
from our perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she walks around all day with her family and like the entire military telling her that she's like the greatest to ever do it and all that stuff. So like, of course, she has a god complex. It's
It's disgusting.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's definitely not pleasant. I guess I think I like where they might be going with, but I don't know. I don't know if it's really
Yeah.
going to be some satisfying arc of whatever. But to me, she's kind of a vessel of just like, oh, I'm a kid and I'm realizing, the stuff is fricked up and
yeah.
that kind of stuff. But
She is easily the worst character of the series.
that's fair.
Yeah, for
That
me.
is fair. That is fair.
I do
I
like.
think-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say as the Sasha moment, they do some stuff that annoys me where it's like, oh, like they
Why did her last lines have to be about food, though?
I don't know. That was
I thought that was
kinda
Yeah,
funny.
they made
Yeah.
Like I had
Like
no
I said, they kinda
emotional
leaned
attachment
into
to her
that
dying
whole-
because it was just like a joke.
yeah, they leaned into that whole comic relief character thing too hard. Like we understand that she's the funny, goofy character, but
That's
like
all they gave her, like for
Yeah.
3 seasons.
They-
was potatoes and meat. Like
they try to use it as a metaphor for her dreams in their entirety as like her because they reference that line where she talks about like soon meat won't be rare, soon we can be free and raise cows and sheep and whatever as much as we want. And so that was like the last thing on her mind was the idea of like being free and not being within the walls anymore because you'd have meat as a consequence of being free. So I
get
think
what you're
that's
saying, but like when it's her like dying words is meat,
that's
and her just like
that's what
literally-
that was the very last sentence of my point that I was going to say is like I think that's what they were trying to do, but it doesn't come across that way easily enough. I think like
Yeah.
I kind of force my way to that to try to make it mean something.
and I
but,
think like
yeah.
having this plot point is fine, but they do a couple like the fact that like I think Connie or Jean like hugs, and he's like, "You guys mean the most to me." Like what a minute before she dies, like
Yeah.
that is so
Yeah.
predictable and cliche.
it's forced.
I think the show is so much
That
better
was
than that.
when
That's
I-
like some Walking Dead stuff, like garbage tier stuff.
I'm
Like
with
that
you.
is not good.
Agreed.
And the fact
Yeah.
that the fact that they're like they don't know if the guy has gotten aboard, and then they hear a bump and they like not worried
And
about
the
it.
door's still open, and like there's
Yeah,
only
like-
one hallway. Like how do you not know he's not there? Like
Yeah, you completed this insane operation, and it's like I guess we just forget about it now that we're
Yeah,
still
let's
in
just get the
enemy
door open.
territory.
Yeah, you just fall asleep at the wheel like 90% of the way through the race. It's just like, come on.
Yeah,
not to mention her like absolute trick shot, like 1 in a million shot that she gets on the guy. How do you lead that bullet with the fucking airship moving when he's in the air swinging on a cable and manage to hit that and
Word.
he just comes down like a fucking fly?
yeah.
little girl comes up on the ship. She is absolutely getting tossed right back off the same ship.
Yeah,
I
no,
like-
you
She
are
got,
lying.
she got the intervention, bro. That shit's hit scan. That's not projectile.
Jesus Christ. No,
Yeah.
no need to lead shots.
Nope.
I mean,
Warzone.
yeah, I like whatever it leads to, I guess is fine, but it could have been done so much better.
Mhm.
I will say Aaron laughing at it is a pretty great moment, I think, because you see that like the audience sees that he's in pain from it, but almost like the other characters don't. So that leads to later they're talking like a great moment is when I think it's Connie when they're in that room with Aaron and or Armin and Mikasa, and he's like, he laughs when Mikasa died. Like, what was so funny about her dying? And it's
Right.
or when Sasha died, and it's like,
Yeah.
what was so freaking funny? And it's like it's like he's a piece of garbage. But we get to see it's a little more complicated than that. Like, he still does care about them, but he has this plan, and like, he might just be laughing at the fact that she said meat as her last words. Like, it's like,
I
it's
try
kind of
to
like,
put myself in those shoes too, and I could totally see myself laughing at that too. Like
right.
when
Yeah.
that would happen, because for one, you're shocked that shit happens.
Yeah.
And it's not like like I never got like the whole thing of when you laugh at something, it's disrespectful. Like all the time. Like I think a lot of people when you hear someone laugh at a serious thing, it's like, oh, you're being really disrespectful. But maybe that's like their way of expelling nervous energy, which is how
Yeah.
it happens with me.
Yeah.
There's-
I was going to
there's-
say exactly that. When I get nervous or when I'm like incredulous, I'll laugh and stuff like that. And like that did not serve me well in certain
No, I laugh when I lie all the time.
certain
so.
situations.
Whenever I like try to like laugh as a joke or like lie as a joke, I can't get through it. I'm just not a liar.
I think it depends on the seriousness
know,
of the
I don't
joke for
know.
me there, but yeah, it's
It definitely depends, cause like I don't know, cause like if I tell you my dog died and the first thing you do is laugh, I'm judging you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of legitimate.
I mean, like
it's
no context tragedy. If you just like laugh, then you're just like, what the fuck are you doing, bro?
Yeah,
I mean, there's actually a whole Modern Family bit about this where like the mom like smiles at like tragic news or something like that, and so her neighbors thinks she's like the worst person ever.
That's a whole like psychological phenomenon. It's like
Yeah.
it can be like when you're telling someone like horrible news, you start smiling. I've had that before too. It's like, or, like
I've done that,
or,
yeah.
like, I got a freaking cut on my arm. You're just like
I mean, yeah, a lot of
laughing.
that's a little more understandable though, just because like it's almost like we're
Yeah.
programmed to laugh at pain.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the entirety of comedy and everything. So
Yeah.
that's why
But-
those fail compilation videos are so great. Like there's like several million views on a bunch of people that just fall and scrape their knee. It's like it's funny as shit.
Yeah, there's that.
In a
Yeah, but
in an actual moment of levity, I think that I enjoyed a lot. Right before the death scene of Sasha, as soon as Eren gets back to the airship and they're seeing him for the first time in however long, Levi just kicks the shit out of him, and he just goes, "This brings back memories, Eren. You have such a kickable face."
yeah, so true.
Levi's
yeah,
an
yeah.
asshole.
Levi
It's so
is always saying what I'm thinking, basically. He's so good. Just
He's a hard ass man.
yeah, you need him, bro. He's like an anchor. Like when all this BS is going on, he's like, I'm still gonna kill Zeke. Y'all are still doing some messed up stuff, and I'm gonna freaking kill anyone I need to. That's like trying to threaten us, basically. It's just like
He's
Yeah.
definitely incredibly clear-headed. Like
Yeah.
he never steers away from the actual end goal. Like even when he's like having a good time with them, he's still very serious and thinking about the next steps.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, basically, there's a lot of flashback now. We're in like the flashback exposition part of it, where there's just
Frickload of
here's what
backstory.
happened. Yeah, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Keep building out what happened, basically.
Yeah, how they get all the dissenting soldiers, and then Mikasa is also a princess of the shogunate of Hizuru. It's like,
Yeah, that might be one of the more BS moments of the show, where it's like,
yeah,
show her your tattoo. Here it is, and they
and they
haven't
actually
even hinted at it the entire series. Like,
I made a note of that of continuity because they keep like throughout the entire series up till now, Mikasa has that scar on her cheek from when Eren like punches out at her when he can't control the Titan in season 1. She has that scar, but in like I'm pretty sure, because I think I've seen someone who checked and wrote about it, was like, this doesn't exist, like her rap doesn't exist until like this moment, basically, or like this season.
Yeah.
And so it's like a whole thing, and then they make a whole point of like, oh, Mikasa, you never take your rap off for anyone. It's like,
What?
this has never been referenced, not once.
I only took it off for Eren.
Yeah, like I
I
guess.
love him.
Couldn't it be like under her scarf or something? Like, couldn't you have done some kind of better job.
Or like on her shoulder, or like her ankle, maybe, or yeah. It's like to put it in
it's
such an
mad
obvious place that
weird.
like we would have seen on camera before it's kind of
On camera. Yeah, the
On
cameraman
camera.
would have got it.
Yeah, he
you know what I
probably
mean, you prick.
yeah.
The animator got it.
I love I love in frame as opposed to on camera, sure, whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
there's another really good moment of levity where they're talking in the back of a cart of like who should inherit Aaron's Titan, and they go back and forth of like I will, and there's an exchange between Connie and Sasha where Connie's like I'll do it, and then it's like
No, you're an idiot.
yeah, it's like no, you're an idiot, and then Sasha was like I'll do it instead, and it's like but
You're more of an idiot than I am.
but-
Like you're being hypocritical.
and they just like stare at each
And he
other with more and more
he's, like,
confused
so-
looks, and they're just
But
like
he's like
huh?
so serious. Like he's got
It's
this
great.
horrified face on it. Like
Yeah.
they do that so much with Connie, particularly in this season, where they just draw him with the most horrified look, where they have like the cell shading in the middle of his forehead,
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
and he just
yeah.
has like the really small like ticks of eyeballs.
Mhm.
It's like he's like pissed the whole season.
Yeah.
There's
That
there's
is true.
some fun scenes in the flashbacks of like Mikasa just by herself hauling like iron beams.
I remember that.
There's like they're in the background of some of those scenes is Connie chasing Sasha around as Sasha like eats all the food and the classic, but it's
Classic
like
stuff.
it's kind of differently done. It's really fun if you look in the background of those scenes.
They're nice moments before, like, it's like, hey, this was nice before everything went to trash. Like everyone hates each other now, and
Yeah.
it's fricked, and Aaron's fricked. But they
It was
They
weird
set up-
because I felt like they made me care about Sasha more after she died than before. was how it ended up working out, and I was like,
I'm still not there.
I said more,
was
not
that-
completely.
No, I know,
Yeah.
I know, but like that didn't move me at all. Like losing her, maybe they played it up
Wow.
to be more than it was, and maybe we're in the minority. I don't know how the community took that, honestly, but
it
I don't
moved
know
me.
how people are.
It moved me a good amount. I mean, I care about. I don't think a lot of it was done well, but I cared about Sasha. But
I was
Yeah.
more. I think at the moment, I was overshadowed for me by my infuriation for this little girl. But
yeah, that can happen too.
That makes
can definitely
sense.
happen.
That makes a lot of fucking sense. Yeah,
Yeah, but
more
this,
pissed than sad. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I think this season it highlights how much like Armin, especially as an adult, he's just like he's so freaking done with it. Like he's like the peace. He's always trying to be the peaceful guy, and you have like he's like maybe we can talk to them and stuff. And Aaron's on his stuff of there's no misconception of us being devils. Like we turn into titans, we should go frick them up basically.
Which was
is-
another powerful quote for me.
It definitely was. He's like, where's the
Damn, when you put it
misconception?
like that, it's like like when you're being that literal with it, it's like wow. Like if you really think about it, yeah, we are monsters. There is no misconception. They know exactly who we are.
Yeah, it's a great like line for like why he's the way he is
Right.
right now. But I was gonna say, yeah, like Armin is just like I don't know if I'm skipping too much. If there's like there's a lot of good character setup, and there's a lot of plot stuff going on with betrayal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Armin, like when he comes out of the Colossal Titan after nuking the entire harbor and everything, he makes the point of like, is this what Berthold saw? And is like
it's a great.
all that
yeah,
stuff.
it's a great
Yeah,
line.
and like it just shows him looking down, like horrified at his own actions of like, this is war. It's chilling. It's regularly chilling, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think that's when Gabby and Falco escape a little too easily.
Uh-huh.
yo, that's what I was another thing gonna say. How? She's literally like, "Did my haircuts are too loose?" And then you got literally the most idiotic guard you get. He's like, "Yeah, I'll fix it for you, no problem." And then he just gets absolutely
Yeah.
wrecked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she smokes the one guard, and then they just saunter out of a military prison as like two kids who were stowaways and definitely killed someone. It's like, that's not that's not something only a couple people know about, right? Like that's like a lot of people in this prison should know, or in this jail, wherever the fuck they are, should know. Like these kids aren't just allowed to walk out of here, you know?
Yeah, it's annoying. I think they dedicated too much time to like showing these kids. I guess they have to do it. It
Yeah.
represents a time where her ideology is put into question when she comes across the little girl and she's like, "Why did my mother have to die? She never did anything. You know, she just lived in this village. How was she a devil? Blah blah blah. Like this, not blah blah blah, but you know, this and that.
Blah, blah, blah.
This and that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then and that's when she's still reluctant to see that side, but she's starting to kind of realize that she's not right. And then the whole play on she just how happens to meet up with Sasha's family is kind of interesting because you recognize her before. But
it's another insane
yeah.
synchronicity. It's right in line with, you know, Aaron's mom, or you know, Zeke's mom being the one who ate Aaron's mom and like all that shit. Is like, of all the freaking families they could have come across, it's the one of the parents of the daughter you killed like a few days ago. So
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you. It is interesting. They do dedicate a lot of time to them. It does lead to like a pretty crazy interaction where, you know, Niccolo is the Marleyan who loves Sasha. And
that part was kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's
super
like,
nuts. I love that scene. I love that series of scenes, honestly.
Everything comes
crazy.
together in that one episode. They show up and it's like, all right, we here, and it's like, all right, Niccolo's freaking here, the whole family's here. Then the scouts show up, like, all right, we're here to freaking talk to you.
Yep.
And then it's just like, when it
quickly
happens.
It turns on its head when he realizes that that's the girl that killed Sasha.
Yeah, they go.
He went from like lovingly making
her.
to
He almost had her.
It is.
This man had to get in the way. He
Yeah,
almost
bro.
had her.
homegirl almost had her too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, like the daughter comes through and just like but like she's super weak, so she just like standing there with a knife, got caught. Like
She gets stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she's a child being held back by, you know, a guy, but
not a child. She was like, it looked like she was like
13?
14.
Definitely a child. Definitely a tiny baby child with no strength or idea what she's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such an absurd scene when they go down to the basement and she's like, we're warriors, we're here, and like on the way he was sick. I jumped on this airship and I shot this stupid girl, and then he's like wait, and then like puts the pieces together pretty quickly. It's just the ultimate backfire of like they thought they're gonna get an ally, and they just get you know, Falco ends up getting smoked.
Yeah, I know.
Is this the part where they discover what the wine is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Immediately
The
after
wine
that.
gets in his mouth. Yeah.
Because before that, when you said like the scouts show up, Niccolo like fakes racism to like keep them from drinking it.
Right. Yeah. It's a whole freaking conglomeration of stuff. I like the Sasha's dad is the wise countryman, just like before. He's like,
Yep.
in his country accent, like, hey, you know, we gotta keep the children out of the forest. But it's a great monologue, like taking nothing away from it. Like, you know, we're all in the forest, we've all been fighting and dying, but the only hope is that we keep the children out of it. Like, basically, which is cool. I mean, you understand where the kids are coming from, but the adults in the room have to be adults and be like,
yeah,
nah, fam.
Absolutely. Yeah. Something I didn't even think of until right now, basically, is like that initial flashback scene with Sasha that we had in season 2 or whatever it was, where you see like her dad and talking about all that stuff. And he has the whole point of that scene is his monologue is that we have to, you know, move and be, you know, courteous and helpful to the people who lost everything in the war and all these casualties and all this tragedy. And he does exactly what he says he's gonna do, and he like starts a mini orphanage basically, where he adopts 4 or 5 kids, and like has them work on the farm, and they earn their keep, and they're well kept for, and they're all, you know, orphans from the tragedy. So it's kind of crazy. He does exactly what he says he's gonna do.
Yeah, it's pretty great, and it's great to. I don't know. Niccolo's an interesting character because he just realizes, like, what the frick am I doing? But he's still, I don't know, conflicted about it. But freaking, we have Aaron showing up, crashing everybody's party. I like
Mhm.
the scene
Starting
with
his
all of
own
them.
party.
That is true. That is true too. I think
His own
probably
party.
Which
one
part are
of
you
the
referring to?
when he shows up, when like
They're around the round
Mikasa
table.
and Armin are at the table, and Aaron shows
And
up,
Gabby.
and the Jaegerists like take over the whole thing.
This
Yeah.
was a really tough scene to watch, man.
I think this
Yeah.
is just after they blow up Premier Zachary, right?
Pretty
I think
much.
it's. I think we're
mean,
actually like
you know what?
2
Calling him
episodes
Premiere,
after
and I
that.
was like,
You know what?
where Roy's at?
Like a lot of these Aaron,
God.
a lot of these
Yeah.
Aaron scenes I got spoiled from just because of all the drip memes.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
the him in his
Like-
Supreme jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's funny
They're
as
so
hell to
funny.
me,
They're
honestly.
so funny. Before I knew seen the scenes, it was kind of weeds, but
Yeah, that's trash. Stop spoiling this
but
show,
it is
people.
good.
That's
Yeah,
tough.
but it is. They are good memes now that I know it.
Yeah, he is dripping
There's
in the
like one-
season.
There's like one where it's like Armin has a drip check and it's like them on the airship and he opens the door and sees Gabi hanging there and she doesn't have the drip and then he closes the door. The Attack on Titan
A
like
drip
rap
check.
remix.
Oh man.
Yeah,
He's got the Supreme jacket. It's funny.
this shit's deadly. But yeah, the Jaegers take over and all that stuff, and they, tie up Hanji, and then that's when they have that round table. And for all the screaming and shouting that Gabby did about Eren Jaeger, I will kill Eren Jaeger, just paralyzed, just freaking can't move a muscle when he walks in the room.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Armin, continues to climb the ranks because he's all like, Gabby's all like, freaking, don't you want to kill me? I killed Sasha, and he's like, I don't want to freaking kill you. You always talk about freaking killing. I don't want to kill anybody. He's just
Yeah.
like
It's like kill this, kill
very
that.
rational, like normal dude, and he's like just like someone I know. And then Aaron just walks right through in like,
Yep.
oh dang,
Yep.
he's got the freaking wound on his hand already,
There's that.
and he just
Mhm.
ruins a couple
This
friendships
was
right
tough.
there.
Yeah, this was super. This was
It
the
is. It is
toughest
kind of
part
tough.
to watch, man.
Mhm.
It is
The
tough.
second he started, because he's just so like cold-bloodedly ruthless in this season,
Mhm.
where he doesn't show like next to any emotion. He's just deadpan, monotone the whole time. He
Mhm.
just starts shitting on Mikasa, just like, yo, you were programmed
Yeah.
to care about me. You don't actually care about me. I couldn't give a shit about you. It's like, I
Yeah,
always
that part
hated, I always
Yes,
hated you.
I
Like,
always hated it.
are you
That's rough.
shitting
bruh.
me?
Yeah.
That hurts
I wouldn't have
so
even gone that
much,
far.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
That's far to go.
It was the toughest part of the show, man.
so
Mm.
This was
Like
fucked.
I know there's parts in there's parts. It's obvious that she cares for him way more than he cares for her. But to say that he always hated her is like, damn.
fucked.
Yeah, it's insane. And the fact that Armin stands up for her and then he just beats the frick out of Armin.
Oh
like,
my god.
yeah.
The
But-
only the two people that were literally your ride or die that would like testify with you, even if you committed 50 murders, you just
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I almost,
But then
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say the whole programming thing was kind of nuts because
Yeah.
Very
it
nuts.
actually proves that it was true because she like stops
Yeah.
Armin without thinking
Yeah.
about it, and I'm like,
It's
What
a,
the freak
it's a
is actually
very
happening?
well executed scene. Yeah, it's excellent because that's
Yeah.
what I kept on harping on in the previous episodes, like when in season when we get the flashback that they show again when he explains
Yeah.
the slavery, and so I
Mhm.
kept on harping on it because the entire time I had this moment in my head, and I think last episode they have this whole thing about when we were talking about Kenny and how he had the moment as well. I was like trying to make that point of like, we don't know who the Ackermans are. We don't know this, that, or the other thing. And I think Alex and David were both biting their tongues like, don't spoil, you bitch. Don't spoil. Like, don't let it
Sure.
slip. But I had this moment in my head the entire time. And especially the part where he says, I've always hated you, because I did not see that coming at all. I mean, I think we're all saying that, but right when we recorded episode 1 of this series, Trevor said something about like, it bothers me how disdainful Eren is towards Mikasa and like
been
all
like
this
that
stuff.
the entire show.
And I never thought about that. I just never like thought about how I knew like obviously she follows him around and all that stuff and protects him, but I never thought of it as like, that he was so cold to her. I never even like noticed that as a theme and regularity until like you pointed it out of just like that was your initial reaction to their relationship, and I had in my head this scene of him saying I've always hated you. I was like, God damn, like he kind of picked it up fast.
Yeah, that it's just like something that I'd pick up like in human interactions, like just how people will treat others, like in any situation, really. Like that's why I'm like so big on just like treating people with respect, like especially in like retail where you just like you have like that 30-second interaction, and even if you're a piece of shit, like it's not gonna matter, but like you could just respect them, you know. I don't know. I pick up on those little things.
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so it's like they set it up like Armin, or I keep getting the names wrong. Aaron is a bit of a jerk, and then it's like, oh, frick you, bro. Like, you know, it's like unexpected, but there's setup, which is pretty great when they can pull that off. And I think, like you were saying, Alex, the freaking programming thing is so interesting. I'm so curious to see what they do with the second half, because it's like, is that going to be proven 100% true, or is it going to be like there's partially true, but Mikasa really cared about him, you know, because of the scarf and because he took care of her? Like, what exactly message are they going to send with that? Because they could go a number of ways.
Yeah.
And like, it's kind of wild because, you know, Aaron's on the whole eugenics, you know, genetic us out of existence, you know, tip basically. So it makes sense that he's like that, but that's such a crazy way of thinking, like about human beings. And then
yeah, and that's why he says is like he hates her is because she's a slave, and he hates anyone who doesn't strive to be free or like can't strive to be free and all that. And he calls her livestock, and it's like it's just like such a disgusting roast session, one-sided, completely.
Well, which leads to finally they freaking roast him back when after Armin's like on the ground beat up, he's like, "You're the one being manipulated by Zeke. Like, who's the slave to a bastard here?" Like, it's just and he's just lights my man up for good reason, and you're like, thank freaking God Armin is alive, because you know, my man.
Erwin could never.
Yo, don't disrespect Erwin like that, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, he does.
My man's babe.
He does make that interesting point that I think they must end up doing more with, because they spend time on it and they point it out very solidly, is like, you know, if we are as people a collection of our memories, then like you're being manipulated into caring about Annie. Like inside of you is an enemy that cares about another enemy, is what he says. And so, you know, inside of him is the Founding Titan and the Warhammer Titan and his dad's Attack Titan and the guys before him Attack Titan. And whatever else, however far that goes back. Usually it seems like it only goes one generation unless you're inheriting the founding from the king, in which case it goes all the way back to the king. But we don't know. We just don't know. And so that could definitely still have a lot of repercussions going forward of, you know, are people's actions truly their own?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah, I'm interested to see what they execute, because that could end up being a big theme of the show, with whatever they do with it.
Right.
Yeah. And then, you know, Aaron, the Jaegerist takeover, you know, Flock, head ass, being his lieutenant, just like no respect for his elders, you know. God dang. I hate that guy too.
There was that like super subtle jaw like scene that made my jaw drop when I watched it, is when they're like in the jail cell with Yelena on the one side and like all the scouts in like in the jail, and she's explaining to him the whole euthanization plan, and one of the dudes with Yelena is like starts talking mad shit about Sasha or whatever, and it's like, you wouldn't shut the fuck up about her, like you wouldn't like this like son of a whore, and just like she just blows his brains out without warning. And I was like, okay, we're playing this game now. I was like, it was so out of left. Like I thought he was gonna get hit. I didn't think he was gonna get fucking shot, you know.
It shows you know. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just like, this scene in particular, like she's explaining the plan, and then this is kind of like in contrast to the scene we were just talking about with the whole showdown between Aaron and them. And then I think Armin says something like, "I didn't realize it's so noble," or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I still quite don't understand the plan 100% myself, but if he's saying it's noble, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe starting to see from a perspective because Aaron has kept himself isolated for so long.
yeah, right. It's like, is he really gonna go along with it? Because you know, the Jaegerists are definitely like true believers. Like she sees Zeke as a god and stuff. So it's like clearly they want to make you think there's something to it, but it's gonna be a little bit weird if that's the solution. That's like the great thing is we fought all this way, we could live and do everything, and now our solution is like slowly die, like just ease out of existence. Basically, it's
Right.
With the rumbling as a constant deterrent.
Right. I'm almost wondering if it's going to be something along the lines of where kind of like a callback to how Aaron was laughing at Sasha's death, but he was clearly had some disturbed by it. Like it did, like he wasn't like laughing at it because he has no soul.
Mhm.
I wonder if it's almost something along the lines of where he's not telling them nothing because he might think it's better for their own good at this moment. He
Yeah.
doesn't actually hate them or have such disdain for them. He just thinks in his head that it's better for them to
Yeah.
to be separate. I wonder if that's the case, or I could be wrong, but I
I
hope so.
I have a theory too. I think that might be right, that he wants to do the plan. So he is against them, but he doesn't actually hate them. He's just trying to distance himself so they don't get suspected or they don't get caught up in it. Because even like earlier on, when people are kind of suspecting Mikasa and Armin being on his side, they're like, we don't know anything. Like he doesn't talk to us either. And that might be his whole plan the whole time. It's like, yeah, they're not
Right.
involved. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this.
Interesting. I can see
Right.
that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to figure out that whatever, but it's because it's pretty much just comes to a close soon after. Everything just starts popping off. Freaking Peak or whatever her name, however you pronounce it.
Before that,
What happened?
Levi and Zeke in the woods.
Oh yeah, that's one of the
Man
better
gets
scenes.
swallowed by a stomach.
Because that shit is,
Yeah, that
let's
was
just
weird. That was
let's
so-
just put
That was
another
really painful to watch as well. But
let's just put
Yeah,
another fucking truckload of concrete right on top of Levi's trauma. My man just he's like all these 30 soldiers, and he blames himself for allowing them to bring the wine along as well. Because they pester him, but it's his final say, and he allows them to do it. And he has that great line, which I didn't write down, but it goes along the lines of you have no idea how many comrades I've killed. Is like when he's transferring, and the look on his face as he's like, it's cinematically gorgeous when all the Titans are like chasing him down, and he's just like falling in the middle of all of them, and the look on his face as he like has to resign himself to slaughtering these 30 people he's recruited and spent loads of time with, and especially the last month living with, and he just has to kill them all. And so he then does that and proceeds to come like a freaking bat out of hell after the Beast Titan yet again, because he's like, I'm finally justified in just fucking this guy up, and I will do it if this is the last thing I do.
Yeah, it's mad satisfying to see Levi like talking trash and then backing it up just every time.
Yep.
It's pretty great.
Yeah,
he just freaks him up.
Yeah,
and then
the show, you think the show can't get any more grotesque, and then the Beast Titan just like crushes a Titan's head and uses that as ammunition to throw at frickin' Levi. But Levi says that shit's light work and just like drops straight down, blows him up with the rockets, and then like you said, him talking shit, he like goes over to his scorched body and he's like, you ugly bearded piece of shit. He's just absolutely roasting the fuck out of him as he's on death's door. It's so good.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, and then
him using the head as ammunition wasn't even the grotesque part. It was the random Titan that comes out of nowhere and cuts its stomach open and then just
yeah, it's at the very end
after he blows himself up.
Pouch.
I don't know how I feel about that, because like it just continues the pattern of Attack on Titan, where it's like chasing back and forth. Like, all right, now he's captured. Now he's not captured. Now he's captured again. Now he's not captured. You gotta wait. It happens a lot in the show.
It does.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I hope it's leading to a great conflict, the final one between Levi and Zeke. Could be amazing if they want to satisfy that plot line.
Aaron versus Reiner.
Yes, exactly, for sure.
The big showing at the very end.
Yeah.
See if Reiner can still fight because he's old and out of touch
Mhm.
with combat. Honestly, he gets his ass kicked twice.
Yeah, I was
this
kind of
season.
thrown off by that ending just a little bit because like it kind of seems like Eren has everything under control, but then he doesn't anymore. But then the chick makes you think that he has it under control and that she's with them, but he's still very skeptical. So he gets up. First of all, that whole setup. Oh, I'll tell you where they are if you bring me to the roof.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, so there's enough space for me to transform and eat you.
yeah.
I will
Yeah.
point at them. I don't need a
Yeah.
map. I don't need nothing. I need to point directly at them from a high place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they are. Go get them.
And
Yeah,
I am
man.
going to stand on this
The
part of the
enemy
roof,
is-
and I'm going to make sure you're on the other part of the roof, directly underneath my boy Galliard.
The enemy-
the enemy is.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah.
exposition ends up being a little obvious sometimes, but I think the payoff is worth. So
Yeah, which
Because they wink at Galliard or whatever.
yeah, if you notice, yeah, he's in that crowd when she's going up the stairs. They straight up show him, which I didn't notice the first time. He's just in
All
the
those people, by the way, like, they just get fricked.
yeah, I know, right? Goners immediately. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's-
it's quite the yeah.
I do love the element now where since he can control the Titan powers so well that he can just injure himself and then wait, basically, to where that when they're in the basement and Peak is like talking to Gabby and like giving her the false story of like, we're gonna work with Eren because Marley is the true enemy. Like, what are you? Are you an Eldian or a Marleyan? This, that, or the other thing. And he, like, as they turn around, he's like already sliced his finger and he's like, we gonna do this or we gonna do this? And so like, and then when they go up to the roof, he's already cut his hand and he's just like waiting, and it even shows like the sparks in his hand.
Yeah.
That scene way earlier, when he's in the jail cell and he like pulls Hanji towards him through the bars and like tries to scare the shit out of her by like starting to turn into a Titan. Like, there's some really tense moments where he flexes that power.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, she's
Hanji's
when
hilarious.
Hanji might be she's the top 3 character for me, honestly.
so yeah, she has that moment again that happens like at the end of last season where he's just like in the jail cell saying like,
Tatakai.
fight or whatever.
That guy. There's some really
And then
funny.
she just,
There's
like,
some really funny
repeats it,
memes
like,
with
4
that.
times, like trying to make it make sense. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were just
just
saying
say fight yourself. Or
You're
you trying to
saying
fight yourself. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
That's not normal. People don't do that. Yeah. So good.
But she comes off like she's just like kind of like slow, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
but it's
part of the
like-
mad scientist vibe.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
yeah.
great. She's
yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah, man.
I will
That's-
say there was like a part, like a dank part, kind of like how we were talking about when she's aiming the gun at Eren. I was like, what if she shoots this man? He's just gonna transfer his consciousness.
Right.
Yeah. That is true.
Oh man,
Bullshit.
yeah, that'd be tough.
That's kind of
But yeah, she even the little subtleties like that where Eren like leans into the gun and is like, your responsibility, your mission is to get me, not kill me. So like, I know you won't pull the trigger. And at that point, Peak is like, Gabby, take your finger off the trigger. I don't want you to blowing this guy away on accident. A little
Which,
subtle
by the
things like
way-
that.
Like before they even stress that dialogue, I was looking at her trigger finger the entire time because I'm like really super hyper aware of that. And,
Yeah.
Oh
like,
yeah.
the trigger looked like a feather pool. Like it looked like half an ounce would have her like kill him right there. And she
Yeah.
just had the finger like right there on the trigger the whole time. I was just like, fam, can you please remove your finger? Like,
That's
you will be
tense.
shooting this man right now.
I know. That's the tension for sure. I feel like he should have known she wasn't there to negotiate. I realized the second time she walks in and just stabs the dude in the throat, and it's like, all right, and it's like, no, I'm on your side. Like,
Right.
I guess like you could have just come to me. Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, there's not much left but the cliffhanger, which is a bit of a pain till what's going
Yeah,
on.
It was kind of an unsatisfactory end for me, but
Well, yeah,
the mid-season end. So.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually can't believe the absolute state of me thinking like even 3 episodes away from when the half season ended that it could be like the very end of the entire show. It's like the way they were pacing it, the way we were wrapping it up is like there's no way this like honestly, if they were at that point and they ended up being like, okay, we're gonna finish the fucking show, it would just have been botched. So I'm glad it was a half season, of course. But they didn't confirm it until that final episode released.
Yeah, it's just nutty.
But
it's it's kind of the most insane situation. There's a lot of I feel like J. Cole, it could go up or it could go down at this point. Like there's a lot that could freaking happen.
The way I'm prepared.
The way I'm prepared to either give this, a super high rating or have it go down a little bit. But
we seen Armin's Colossal Titan and we seen Ymir's Jaw Titan. We've seen the highest highs and the lowest lows.
That is true if you think about it.
Ymir's Jaw Titan is poopy dog shit.
Yeah, they actually make a lot of points of like, can this individual, like the words they use is like draw out the full power of the Titan and stuff like that. So
apparently she cannot. Yeah.
Yeah, they
R.I.P. to
contrast
her.
that a lot.
R.I.P. to her.
R.I.P. to Ymir.
Yeah.
Ymir just like, that's tough. That's a tough way to live.
Yeah.
Abducted into a cult, be a goddess, and then just get abducted back to frickin' Marley and get eaten.
Yeah. Honestly.
We'll be seeing you.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing you.
All right.
I think it is interesting. The final thing I will say is with Trevor's quote, I believe, was there's no greater salvation than never being born into this world.
Yeah.
Eren ends up not at all in the way you would expect, but sticking to his initial vow, his initial motivation from the season 1 is that he will wipe all the Titans from the face of the earth. Is what he vows to do. And he ends up doing it almost more efficiently than you would think, which is, you'd think, kill them all one by one, but now he's going to do it with the euthanization plan.
Which makes me so curious as to what they're going to do, because it's like he's going with his initial goal, but he's also going the complete opposite, because we talked about, like, in season 1 and, like, even in season 3, he's like, I want to fight for freedom because I was born into this world. Like, every human born into this world is special. It's great. Like, being born into this world is you have rights and that kind of thing. And then now his plan is literally like, the worst thing that could possibly happen is you're born into this world. I'm going to stop that for all of my people. So it's interesting. I think they pull off the villain transformation very well. And there's a lot of interesting things. And I don't know if they're going to justify his actions but it's a big thing to see where it goes. There's so many things that could happen. Yeah.
We shall see.
I'm wondering if they can't just do the genetic transformation to stop them from being able to turn into Titans anymore.
Yeah, why not, right?
They said they were like able to stop them from catching a plague, right? So it's like maybe just stop us from being Titans and altogether instead of like killing off the race.
That would make a lot of sense.
Like I said in the previous episode, they don't do a lot of explaining, and they even actually in the like between commercials cards in this one do a lot of talking about like, we've researched the Titans for however long, but their actual origin versus like all the stories that get told is still unknown. And so they still haven't explained the whole reason that it's like a race of people, but where did they come from? How did they come to be? And is there actually, like gods, devils, like all this shit? Is there actual supernatural forces, or is it just science? Is it whatever? So I'm interested. I want to find out. I want answers. Got to wait a year for him, though.
I do want some answers. Kind of like David said, for him, it's up or down. What are some possible ratings?
Yes, good question. Good question.
I'm gonna give it a solid 7.
For the season?
Solid, yeah, for now.
Oh yeah, okay.
Solid 7. Fell off really hard for me, but
I could see that. I would have given it probably that the first time I saw it. I'd give the season maybe an 8 so far. It really is dependent. Yeah, we'll see.
Where they take the motivations and
Yeah. I'm gonna say. I know I'm gonna go with a 7.5.
Yeah,
it's kind of like it had dope moments, but it was just based off the circumstances that the show went. I did not anticipate the show going in this particular direction at all.
I didn't either. I really didn't either.
Looking back on it, I kind of miss. I'm here for it. I'm invested in it. I gotta see how it plays out throughout the whole thing. But I kind of miss when the show was a lot less complex, and we were just worried about stopping these titans coming all over the walls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that too. I mean, the show has its phases where your eyes are open to the actual true enemy, so the show makes sense in that sense. But I'm totally with you. Like I much miss just the war, like just the just the season 1 shit, even the season 3 shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's more about the humans. It's almost like, I'm not gonna compare it like Walking Dead in terms of like its plot or anything, but Walking Dead went from caring about the zombies to now it's a drama show, and it just so happens to be that there's zombies in it. It's it's almost like that with the Titans.
Makes sense.
Yeah. What do you think for this season, Cameron?
I disagree wholeheartedly. I think I like the complexity a lot. I do that with a lot of shows, basically. Like, the more, as long as it makes sense within itself, as long as it obeys its own rules, then I love complexity and layers and all that stuff, especially with the writing that we get, where it ties back to a lot of original stuff. We finally get a lot of answers for stuff that we weren't sure about, like the Ackermans, and I mean, we still don't know, like I just said 5 minutes ago, where the Titans come from, per se, but we know what the world looks like. We know what the world politics look like. We got a lot of history. We got a lot of propaganda. We got a lot of indoctrination. All the psychology makes sense. All the politics make sense. It's extremely well executed for me, and it's absolutely not where I saw it going either. And I love that. I love being surprised and caught off guard.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I don't like predictability in shows, so it continues to succeed in that vein. The animation does get choppy. We talked about that. It was, a show like this can definitely suffer from the fact that it had so many questions to answer, that it spends a lot of time answering those questions and giving you backstory and like trying to make itself make sense, which I appreciate in and of itself, but it does get, it can get dry, or you want to see proper action, but you're not getting it because you have to get your questions answered. So I land on a 9 for this one. Just points off, for the animation and stuff, but and what I just said. But the show as a whole, I still put it at 10. I know that doesn't mathematically add up, but it's just
it's not math. Yeah,
it's not math. So yeah, it's not. I don't like it better than the other seasons. So, or not the other seasons, but certain seasons that I gave a 10. I think I should revise my season 1 to a 9. So,
I think
9.
Yeah, the score could change a lot. But I was gonna do our overall for the show and how much the ending affects that. Really affect it. So for me, the show overall is a 9 out of 10 for me. I think it's excellent. Great overall.
Love to hear that.
I could see it dropping, with a crazy ending, but there's still some great stuff that'll never be besmirched, I don't think. It could jump up to like my top 5 if it's a really great ending. So hope and see, man.
We will definitely see.
I'm with David on that. I'm going with a 9 for the whole season. I could go up or down based on the
whole series. You mean?
The whole series, yeah, not the whole season. But I mean, this was on my top 10 list, so I'm curious to see how that ages over time as more anime I watch. I think it'll slowly decrease off my top 10, especially when you have newer animes like Jujutsu. But we'll see. We'll see how it ages. Maybe it'll be like fine wine. I'll sip on some AOT.
Zeke spinal fluid, exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
Dang. Trevor.
Oh, on the whole show?
Yeah.
I think I'm feeling a solid 8.
Okay. Okay.
I definitely enjoy the show. It's not the mecca for me, at least, but I do fully appreciate it. It is a little too complex for my taste. It's a little and I had said this last episode where I don't particularly keep up with shows too efficiently like a lot of other people do, and it's hard for me to digest a lot of plot when a lot of lore is thrown at you, like this season does particularly. But it's a cool show. It's definitely cool. It's worth your
Nice.
time for sure.
Yeah.
Excited to
Okay.
see where it goes. I'm gonna watch it week in and week out when it starts. So
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I might wait, but we'll see. It's a bit of a nail biter.
Yeah,
I actually enjoy watching shows week in and week out. I can actually digest them properly.
I get that. Yeah.
on my
Yeah, for sure.
reasons
Watching it
for
in 2 days.
watching Attack on Titan weekly is how good of a show it is and how much I like it, and then right above that is making sure I don't get spoiled.
Yeah, it's
It's
brutal
like-
out here.
Because it's so fast. It's such a turnaround, and even now, I'm still actively avoiding manga spoilers. So
Stay safe out there. Prepared. Defend
sure.
yourself from spoilers.
For
yeah.
sure.
If it has anything to do with drip, it's probably not wise to watch it until you know.
Yeah,
Everything.
until you know. Yeah, well, this is the end of our Attack on Titan season so far, as Cameron said at the beginning. Our season, yeah, I guess that works. We're gonna be taking a little freaking break and watching Rent a Girlfriend next. So interested to see this. I
such a
hope it'll be a lot-
turnaround.
I know, right? I know.
We were talking about it in pre-pro, but I didn't even think about saying it at the end of the Attack on Titan episode that we're gonna watch fucking
Yeah.
Rent a Girlfriend.
I'm glad, man.
Which I have already seen, and it's silly, it's light, it'll be a nice break.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. And
I'm ready for a 12 episode show that doesn't
Yes.
have 4 seasons and 80 episodes and
No-
16 of those I have to watch in 48 hours like I did with this series. Jesus
Uh-huh.
No
Christ.
lore, no complexity. It's just like
I am
6
never-
characters and a good
I'm
time.
never doing that again.
yeah,
I'm never watching an entire season of something in 2 days. Especially when it's 16 episodes. I'm never fucking doing it again.
Especially with how much info they throw at you. Yeah,
This
I
was
feel you.
exhausting.
it's fucking absurd. Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
you.
I can imagine.
I can
That's
definitely
probably
imagine.
why I rate it as low as I do, but
Hmm.
I
Well-
couldn't fully digest it. Like it's almost like how you listen to the album like twice, the
Yeah.
J. Cole album twice, and it's
Yeah.
just so much information to have to keep in your skull and watch it immediately. Like there's no time to process it. It's like a
Yeah.
6-hour movie.
It's like, yeah, it's that kind of thing where you could
true.
go back and read stuff and connect stuff better, maybe, and like.
Right.
But I'll say, like, what my closing thought was going to be, I did not rate this in my top 10 at all before I did the rewatch. Like, and it was, I had different circumstances, but it basically was like, it made me not able to process the stuff too. I forgot so much stuff in between seasons. So
Understandably, it's very complex.
indeed, yeah. So I'm very happy we did this series so I could rewatch. I'm very happy I showed it to my sister. She's a big fan now. And it could end up being one of my favorites. I think it's better than a few that are in my top 10. So I'll say thanks for coming along with the ride on the ride. Whatever I'm saying. And yeah, for sure. Give your hearts and do your best out there, everybody. Thanks for listening. It's been real, everybody.
Love it.
Hmm. Well, it's like David said, we're going to be taking a break, not from anime, but from these big, beefy boys of shows.
Yes.
They definitely absolutely have its place. But for the Unboxing Life boys, we're gonna catch up on some anime that we've been missing out on because we've had a lot of time on these episodes. So look forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm looking forward to it. We're all looking forward to it. So if you enjoy that, stick around for our future episodes. And with that, I will say I love you all.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we did 3 parts of My Hero and then Jujutsu Kaisen and then this. So we've basically been doing modern shonen for like 4 months straight. Basically like all of 2021 almost.
Nutty,
Unless
nutty.
I'm missing something in between or before, but yeah, we it's been intense. I love Attack on Titan to death. Like I said, it's my number 1. I'd rate the show a 10, but it's I'm exhausted of it. I need that break. I'm glad that we've wrapped up the series and that we've said just about everything there is to be said about it so far. So yeah, I'm super excited for the second half, the second core, I think they call it, COUR, whatever that is, of season 4. I think it's going to be January of 2022. But I could be wrong. But anyway, we will see you then. In the meantime, find us on Instagram and Twitter at Unboxing Life Pod and r/Unboxing Life Podcast. Also, hit us up in the YouTube comments, leave a like or whatever review you think we deserve, both on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts. So let us know on there, and until then, be kind and stay safe.
Yeah, I think we're never going to get the whole Apple podcast at the beginning down.
Yeah.
We do it like every other episode, and we're just not consistent. But yeah, if you could give us a review on Apple Podcasts, that'd be great if you have an iPhone. If you want to watch us on Twitch, just go in the description. I'm not going to fucking spell it out for you every time.
True.
If you're on the YouTube.
True enough.
Dang. Yeah.
You'll find it.
Yeah, you will find it. If you care about us, you'll find it. Like these beautiful gentlemen have said, I am also grateful that this 2-month series of us covering the show is over. It's been a hell of a ride. These characters are great. I will definitely see myself like thinking about the show in perpetuity for however many years to come, just based on like its core show, or the core of the show. But I'm excited to let loose on some, slice of life and, comedy. We're going to do Rent a Girlfriend. Going to catch up on some Promise Neverland, Cells at Work. There was another one. What else were we thinking about, guys?
Parasite, possibly in the future.
Parasite too. Yeah.
Devilman.
So we've got 5 shows that we're kind of loaded in. So
yeah,
all quick ones.
Take a breather. Yeah, take a breather. But yeah, if you guys have made it to the end of this episode and the end of this season, I'd like to say thank you, and always supporting us, and hopefully you guys tuned into the show as well, because it's worth your time if you're an anime fan at all. I think if you call yourself an anime fan, you should absolutely watch the show, regardless of how you feel about it at the end. But
yeah,
it's a dope show.
I want to second that. If you are at the end of this, having watched even just this one, but especially all 4 of these episodes, you are the realest, and we love you so fucking much. Like, you're the best. Like, thank you for the support, and definitely let us know what you thought. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Sweet. And with that, with y'all beautiful gentlemen speaking the truth, peace out, baby.